Hello, and welcome to week 8 of English 120. This week's an exciting week because I will be talking to you about Jack London, and we'll be kicking off our research project and starting to read The Valley of the Moon. You'll be doing a discussion forum that'll introduce the world of The Valley of the Moon, the book we're going to be reading. You're going to do a reflection, and going forward, your reflection, your journal, will be on your reading in The Valley of the Moon. You're going to sign up for conferences, so look for a sign-up sheet under this week's content, and it's a wiki, so you just sign up your name, add your name to a time slot, and you're going to be turning in your argumentative essay on Wednesday. Finally, your comp class unit is about online research. So just a reminder, this is the prompt for your argumentative essay. Please make sure you turn it in by Wednesday of this week. All right. Sorry for that. All right. Beginning this week, we're going to kick off our research project. The rest of the semester will be spent working on this research project. The project will be, the topic you'll be working on and the topic you'll choose will be directly related to The Valley of the Moon, the novel that we're going to be reading for the rest of the semester. The components of the research project are a topic form, and you'll have to get your topic approved by me, and there'll be more about that next week when it's due. Then you'll be writing a research prospectus, which is a longer version of your research idea. Then you'll be conducting a topic history where you fully understand the topic that you're going to be writing about. You're going to do an annotated bibliography where you'll look at several sources very in depth and write up summaries about those sources. Then by week 14, you'll be writing your first draft of your research paper, which is 6 to 8 pages long. You'll do a peer review and a self-review, and finally, you'll turn in your final research essay the last week of class. Let's talk a little bit about Jack London. As most of you know, Jack London is a local author. He grew up in the Bay Area and spent the last few years of his life in Glen Ellen at his ranch, which is now Jack London State Park. I like to start with this quote from Jack London. This is something that he wrote about living on the land at the Valley of the Moon, and it really expresses how he feels about place and where he lived and how much he loved writing about where he lived. Who will reap what I have sown here in this almighty sweet land? You and I will be forgotten. Others will come and go. These too shall pass, as you and I shall pass, and others take their places, each telling his love, as I tell you, that life is sweet. And that's a picture of Jack London and his second wife, Charmian, and they're in front of their the cottage, which you can still, you can go to this actual cottage, and there will be an opportunity to get extra credit going to Jack London State Park, but more about that next week. But this is a picture, you can actually go to this exact spot at Jack London State Park where they're seated. All right, so I would like you to watch the following video by Professor Cecilia Ticci. It's an introduction on Jack London, and I think it's a really good introduction about the author. So what I'd like you to do is to watch it. You don't have to watch the question and answer part of the video, but if you click on this link, it'll also be available under this week's content. Please watch this before you begin reading anything for this week and before you participate in any of the activities. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about The Valley of the Moon, which is the text we're going to be writing. Jack London wrote The Valley of the Moon during a really troubling period of his life. He and his second wife, Charmian, had just recently lost their child, Joy, shortly after her birth due to complications with her delivery. And they were in the midst of building their own dream house in the Valley of the Moon called Wolf House. Um, and you can still see the ruins of Wolf House if you visit Jack London State Park. Building Wolf House had stretched their finances to nearly breaking. They had put everything they had, even though Jack London was a really successful writer and he made a great deal of money off of writing. In fact, he would double publish things. So, for example, The Valley of the Moon, he published that. He published it first in a magazine, in Cosmopolitan magazine, which was quite different back in the early 1900s than what you see today on the stands, but it's the same exact magazine. And he published Valley of the Moon as a serial in that magazine. But at the same time, he also got a contract with Macmillan um, to publish the same book. So he double dipped, so to speak. He got paid twice for writing one novel. Even though he was doing all this to build Wolf House, they spent all of their money. Um, and it was something they were very invested in. Unfortunately, Wolf House burned to the ground shortly thereafter, before they even got to move in. Before writing The Valley of the Moon, Jack took his second wife, Charmian, with him on a 4-horse trip, visiting many of the sites that appear in the novel. He was really into really researching before he wrote a novel. So he and Charmian hooked up. He learned how to drive a 4-horse wagon before he did this, and then he took them on this trip. So all the places that appear in this novel were places that he and Charmian went to, um, and he took notes on while they were traveling together. From the start, London promoted his novel, The Valley of the Moon, as a love story with a back to the land motif. The novel is structured as a heroic quest for love, land, and a home, and it was written during a period of time when Jack was consciously experiencing and exploring his own yearnings for love, land, and a home. He outlined the plot of the novel to his editors at Macmillan and Cosmopolitan in letters written on the 30th of May, 1911. So here's Jack London's own description of his of the novel before he wrote it. I take a man and a woman, young, who belong to the working class in a large city. Both are wage workers. The man is unskilled, a driver of a brewery wagon or something of that sort. The first third of the book will be devoted to their city environment, their meetings, their love affair, and the trials and tribulations of such a marriage in the working class. Comes hard times. The woman gets the vision. She is the guiding force. They start wandering penniless over the country of California. Of course, they have all sorts of adventures, and their wandering becomes a magnificent, heroic, detailed pilgrimage. After many hints and snatches of vision, always looking for the spot, they do find the real, one and only spot and settle down to the successful, small-scale farming. So that's his own description of what happens in the Valley of the Moon. So have that in mind as you begin reading. So before we begin reading The Valley of the Moon, though, I want you to really understand some of the things that happened and what it was like to live in the early 1900s in the Bay Area. So in our discussion forum, you're going to choose one of the following topics listed here: prize fighting, sweatshops, especially laundry sweatshops, Oakland circa early 1900s, strikes and unions, Teamsters, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, pioneers, pioneer poets, farming circa early 1900s, sustainable farming, and the Saxons. Then what I'd like you to do is to research your topic on the following databases. You're going to need to find 3 to 5 photos or graphics of whatever topic you've chosen to share with us. So places to look for the graphics are ArtStore, and remember, that's one of the databases available at our library, or Calisphere is another great place to get visual information, actual photographs of after the 1906 earthquake. There's actually photographs by Jack London of the earthquake, taken right after the earthquake. Um, Also, you're going to want to do, you're going to need to write a 2-paragraph description of whichever one of these topics you choose. So some places to search for this information are using the databases at our library, again, and here's a link to visit that. Looking at um, the encyclopedias in the library, doing some general searches on um, the internet to find information. You really need to try to find information about these topics circa early 1900s. So you'll need to post um, your own 2-paragraph description plus 3 to 5 photos or graphics as your post by Wednesday of this week. Then you'll need to respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts by the end of the week. This part of the research is really fun. It gets you connected to this time period, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to understand the setting where this story is taking place. All right, and for your active reading journal. So this week, all you're going to be reading is the introduction to the Valley of the Moon that's found in the edition that you were asked to purchase for this class. You need to, before you even begin reading, answer the following questions. Who was Jack London? And remember, you can use information that you've gathered from doing your pre-research, watching the video by Professor Tichy, listening to this lecture, anything that you pre-knowledge, anything you know about Jack London already, you can bring that into this. So who was Jack London? What kind of novels did he typically write? What does Valley of the Moon mean? Why do you think Jack London called his novel The Valley of the Moon? When was the novel written? How have things changed since then? How was it originally published? Then I want you to read the introduction by Kevin Starr in the version of the text that you were supposed to purchase for this class. And they do still have these at the bookstore if you need to get a copy. You need to answer the following questions. What did you learn by reading this introduction? Think of 3 questions you have about Jack London or about the Valley of the Moon after reading this introduction, and please write them down. All right, and finally, your comp class for this week will be on online research. All right, that's it, guys. I really look forward to seeing your posts and your reading your essays once you turn them in. As always, please come see me if you have any questions or send me an email. See you soon.